I'm seeing some of this in the background, so I think some people are struggling, but all right, I'm going to go ahead and get started and say welcome, everybody. It's really nice to see all these people, and I can see people are floating in, which is great. We're so happy to be here tonight. And first of all, I want to thank all of our leaders so much for hanging in with us over the last 3 years and booking trips and rebooking them for up to 3 times, if you can believe that. So it's really exciting to see things starting to move again, which is great. So tonight we're here to talk about Argentina, and we didn't have a chance to have an in-face meeting, so we thought this was a good opportunity for you to actually meet Colleen and Estella, see their faces and see some slides and hear more about the trip, because this is really a deeply cultural trip. It's different than the hiking and the biking. It's different than the art. It's different than the gardens. And we're hoping that tonight you get a really good sense of it. So our situation is that right now we have 11 people booked on the tour, and we need at least 3 more in order for the tour to officially be a go. We need 3 more, so we're almost there. So we've extended the booking line to the 9th of March, and we know that there are a few people that have expressed interest in the last couple of days, and we're hoping that you get the information that you need to make the decision that you need to make. So that's where we're at. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Colleen and Estella and let them tell your story. I'll let you talk for a minute, and then Colleen and Estella, if you can let me know when you're ready to put the slideshow on, that would be great. Can't hear you. Colleen and Estella, would you unmute on your end, please? Great, thank you.
So Colleen and I have traveled extensively in Argentina. Hi. And we have done part of this trip together, bits and pieces at different times. But
over many years.
Oh, yes,
too,
over
right? Maybe 25 years.
More like 30.
Oh, well,
30.
okay.
And but we have also visited these areas on our own, independently. And we would love to show you what we love about Argentina and what we enjoy so much about their culture, their food, their geography, everything. And
so we planned the trip with Cindy to show you highlights of the different areas that we both have visited and that we loved. So it's to give you a taste of Stella's country and
Colleen and Estella, can you check your mute button again, please?
yeah, okay.
Is that working now?
Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we picked these different areas with Cindy, and she organized such an amazing trip so we could get the highlights. And they're all very different areas culturally, and like the wine areas, the provincial parks in the north. It is like the Grand Canyon. It's stunning. And for such a small distance, it's amazing how many different areas that Argentina has in this one section.
So I think we're ready for the slideshow.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay.
Yes, let's go.
Right. So give us a minute here and we'll get that going.
Yes.
Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, Joan. I didn't know you were going to be on this.
All right.
Okay, it's all yours.
Oh, wow. Big city.
Yes. So we're going to fly into Buenos Aires, and that is the center, the pure center of Buenos Aires. And that avenue that you can see there is the 9 de Julio, and it has, if I'm not mistaken, it has 18 lanes. 9 going one way and 9 going the other way.
But we'll try and avoid.
Yes,
that. We'll try and avoid that
yeah.
traffic.
We're going to show you now where we're going to stay, which is on a smaller side street. It's a beautiful area and it's smack in the middle of
Okay.
town.
Okay,
Yes, so we can see the next slide.
Cindy?
There.
Can I ask Cindy, is there any way to make the pictures big screen?
Let me try. Hold on.
There, perfect.
Okay.
Yes, there we are.
Okay, so that is, it's a hotel that's very close to the Plaza de Mayo,
Yes.
which Stella will be giving us tours of. It's a great location. It's got lots of restaurants around it, and it is walkable. And in Buenos Aires, especially, the cabs, which are called remisos, they're very easy to get.
Very easy to get. They're, I mean, I mentioned this, not that they're inexpensive, and you just walk out into the street and they're driving by. They're all yellow and black.
So on day one, when you could switch this slide.
Sorry.
So day one, everyone arrives, and then in the early afternoon, we go to what's called my pronunciation is awful. I've been taking Spanish lessons for 6 years and I'm not progressing. It's called Feria de Mataderos, and it used to be the old slaughterhouse area. And every Sunday, and we planned the trip to arrive on a Sunday, we'll get a bus there, a coach, and then we'll spend 3 hours. It's pretty amazing because it's people from the outskirts, from the countryside, that are coming to show their traditional dancing. We can eat the amazing food.
You can eat, well, all kinds of
Empanadas
empanadas, and we can have sausages in a bun that are to die for, and chimichurri, and also you have everybody showing their wares,
Yep.
people that work in silver or in leather. It's out, half of it is out in the open, some of it is inside, but it's just so colorful and so real.
And it is in a not rural part, it is in the outskirts of Buenos Aires, and it's a very interesting area that they have this. So I think the next slide shows just some other. So for the food, they have tamales and enchiladas and
Well, maybe
all the good desserts.
yeah, no,
Not
maybe
enchiladas,
no,
empanadas.
not enchiladas, empanadas, and humita. We have a lot of dishes that we share traditionally with places like Peru, and so therefore we have a lot of things like humita, which is made of corn, and that sign is it's a Buenos Aires how do you say style of painting, and you see it on the buses and you see it on different signs. Anyway, we'll see lots of that.
Yeah. So the next shot, I think, is, so we go to the feria, we come back, and we'll take you to a great local restaurant that night. Stay close to the hotel. So the next day, Stella's doing pretty much her almost a full day city tour.
Yes. So we will go, and in the Plaza de Mayo is a central plaza, and you have the government house, which is right now in the slide, and we call it the pink house, La Casa Rosada. We'll go to the Congress, we'll go to La Casa de Tucumán, we'll go to the cathedral, and if we're lucky, like we were last time, we'll see the change of guard,
Changing up the guards.
it was stunning. It was beautiful. Oops. Yeah, sorry, keep going. Yeah.
You go.
No, I was just talking. So I'm not a guide. I'm a interpreter and a translator, Spanish, English, and I love talking. So I will tell you lots of stories. And if you need me to shut up, I can always shut up too.
It won't happen. So then after we can do, and that's part of the Casa Rosada as well. And then the next slide. So after that, we go to La Boca, which is really the birthplace of where tango started. And it was working class people who went there. It's so interesting, that area. And we're going to have lunch in one of the outdoor restaurants and tour around. they normally have people dancing the tango in the streets, so.
And it's beautifully colorful, and it's really the birthplace of the tango, but it's very Italian. It's all the streets, everything is very Italian and very colorful. I don't think there's anything that's gray. Everything has bright colors painted on it.
So the next slide. That's another sample of the type of graphics that they do that are all hand painted. Hi, Pat. And then the next slide, that just shows the different instruments that we'll learn about when we see the tango show later that night. Okay.
And that's a bandoneon.
And then we'll have lunch in La Boca, and then we'll go to the Cologne Theater, and that's a shot of it, it's so beautiful. And we'll get a tour of that from one of the local people from the theater. And the next shot, I think, shows that as well.
And the Cologne Theater is amongst the 10 most important theaters in the world, and it has housed people like Arthur Rubinstein and Nureyev. I mean, it is stunning. The acoustics are impressive.
So the next shot, then after we do, that's our afternoon tour. It is a busy day, but it's really fun. So then we go, we have a tango night, and we've got a venue that when we arrive, we have a chance, and we did that a few years ago in Buenos Aires. When we did the Northern Argentina tour, they teach us how to tango dance.
Well, a few steps.
It is fun.
Yes.
And then we'll have a dinner. It's in a beautiful venue, and they put on a lovely tango show. So it gives you the brief history, and the music is amazing. Okay.
I got it on YouTube. Okay, so don't worry, they have to take you back, okay? Bye.
I've tried, excuse me, I'm sorry, I've tried to mute everybody on my end, and it looks like everybody's muted, but somebody is still got something on
That's Pat. I'll call her.
Okay. So the next day, so that's our night is, and then if you back it up a bit, we're going to go to, that's the La Recoleta, which is the cemetery, and it's in one of the higher class neighborhoods. It is beautiful. They have cats roaming around. They have the grave of Eva Perón, and Stella will take us on this tour as well. And then at noon, and then you can go to the next one, Cindy. Then we have a Parilla tour, which is, we go to a neighborhood called Las Cañitas, and it's in the neighborhood of Palermo. We have a guide that does the food tour. We did this a few years ago. It was fantastic. They take you to teeny little restaurants that they make empanadas. Then we go to one restaurant that we have the barbecue, the parrilla, steak. They have long tables, amazing food. And then we go to have gelato at the last one. So we really get a taste of all the food. And we'll be tasting that as well when we go to the feria. But these places, we actually sit down, coffee, tea, wine, enjoy the food. And yeah, that's amazing. So that takes the afternoon of that one. So there's a few other pictures of, that's the parrilla where they have the barbecue. Next one, the gelato.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, that the ice cream in Argentina is the best in the world, but I might be a little bit biased about that, but you've tried it.
I have.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So that day when we go back to the hotel is the day we'll have like a light dinner, because we probably are going to be. It depends. We'll figure that out when we're there.
The next day is when we fly from Buenos Aires to Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
When we get there, we go directly, and the next slide I think shows the hotel that we stay in. That's Finca Adelgisa. Mm-hmm. It has its own vineyard. So we'll do that, and then probably in the afternoon, once we settle in, we get the wine tour of the main area of Mendoza, and I'm assuming we would go to 2 or 3 wineries.
Yes.
And do tastings and have lunch there, and Then at night, that's go back just one. So then at night we have the wine tour, and there's a small town called, I'll get Stella to pronounce it properly.
Chacra de Coria, and it's a small little town that has, it's quaint. Mendoza, all of Mendoza is a beautiful province, and their towns are impeccable. And there's little restaurants that we have checked out there, and we're going to book one special for us, and we will have dinner there.
We will. So then the next day, we have a bus picking us up, and we're going to the foothills of the Andes. And this one is called Estancia El Puesto. It's a very rustic estancia. You can see the Andes Mountains from it. They have horseback riding. They'll be serving us the empanadas. They'll have a barbecue for us. So people can decide what they want to do, or you can just relax and do that. They're amazingly hospitable. And yeah, so that takes most of that day at the estancia. And then when we go back to our hotel for that night, they have tapas. So if we ate too much at lunch, we can just have tapas and some small snacks. And this, if you go horseback riding, that's the view that you get if you decide to do that.
Yeah. That almost looks in the back, almost looks like Aconcagua.
It could be.
Yeah, could easily be.
So the next one, and this is a picture of the asado at night. Is it an asado or a parrilla?
No, well, parrilla is, both words are right, but asado is what we say in English, a barbecue, and asado is the typical word in Argentina. And the parrilla really means the grill, but then people just refer to it as the barbecue. So you say, I'm going to the parrilla, I'm going to the grill, but what it really is, it's an asado. All of it together is an asado, and we eat all kinds of meats.
And if someone's a vegetarian, I'm sure they would barbecue.
Cheese.
So the next one, I think, shows another picture of this. Okay, so that was that day. And then there's the next day is mostly sort of a travel day that we have a coach from Mendoza. And it's a city called San Juan, and it's between where we're going, which these slides are. And we just stay overnight. There's a small town we can visit that we can give you a tour of.
What happens is that between where we are in Mendoza to
I got
where
it
we're
on
going
the-
to the
on my-
provincial parks,
On
the
YouTube.
distance is very big.
On YouTube.
So we
on
have
my,
to stop somewhere
YouTube.
and sleep and then continue the next day.
No,
So
no,
we picked
YouTube.
San Juan
YouTube.
because
Yeah.
it's a good spot, a good
Okay, bye.
distance that we can do,
Good
and
for
then
you.
stop and sleep and keep going the next day. So then the next day,
So these are the slides of the next day that we go directly. It's called Valley of the Moon. And this is the area. It's both Stella and I have been there. I haven't been there together
No,
with you,
yeah,
but
we
we've been
Indeed.
separately. And it's just, it's stunning.
so there are two different parts. One is the Valley of the Moon, which is in San Juan, and just across the border in the province of La Rioja, we have Talampaya and El Chiflón, right?
And El
Yeah.
Chiflón, and they both areas, they're all UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
And they're
Pretty
very
neat.
different, incredibly different to be so close.
Yep.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And we'll get a local guide who
Mhm.
knows more about this area they have dinosaur fossils and
Yeah. Actually, you're not allowed to go into the Valley of the Moon without a guide. Not when I
Okay.
went. Yeah, yeah.
So the next shot, because that is still Valley of the Moon, that is just a sample of some of the animals. I know that we will see the guanacos.
Oh, guanacos for sure.
So, and the guanaco was it looks like a llama. right?
Yes, it's a cameloid.
small.
Yes, the guanaco, yeah, smallish. Yeah, compared to the llama.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the next shot, so that we go to El Chiflón for a tour that, and then the next day we go to Talampaya, which is 225 million 100-year-old petroglyphs that we see, and the guide will take us to these certain areas. And normally, when I was there, there were not a lot of other people around.
No, there's very few. The beauty about this area is that it's, of course, it's touristic attraction, but there's always very, very few people. You always feel as though you're there on your own, and you have that impressive canyons and those blue skies that really impress the soul. At least that's what it does to me.
It did to me too. And that's why we both said, if we're going to, have Cindy do the tour with us, that was one area that we said we really should go to that. So the next picture. Okay, so then we fly. The next day is more of a flying day, because we go from where we were in Villa Union, and then we go through Trelew, and then we go to Puerto Madryn, which is famous. It's another UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a nature reserve, and we spend the next 3 days there. The first day we arrive, that is Puerto Madryn, but the first day, I think, because it is a long flying day, we'll make a good plan for all of us when we get there.
Yes, to have
Late
a great
afternoon at night
meal and then relax, because it'll be quite a bit of a day of flying, but it's so worth it. So worth it. It is an area where we're going to be able to see, southern right whales, orcas, but we see orcas here.
Well,
but anyway, we'll see them there also. And the thing is that it's one of the biggest colonies in the world of the Magellan penguins, and also the elephant seals.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly unique and beautiful.
Yep, absolutely. So the next slide. So the first full day that we go out on a boat, and that's to spot the orcas and the southern right whales. And then after the boat ride, we're going to be going to a famous sheep farm. It's called Estancia San Lorenzo.
Yeah.
And they also will give us a beautiful asado. We'll tour it, and close to San Lorenzo, they have, not the largest, we'll see that the next day, but they have another Magellan penguin colony that we can see.
And as I remember, the asado we're having it here is it's lamb on the spit. Yep. And the Patagonian, this really is northern eastern Patagonia, and the lamb in Patagonia is unique. Yep. It really is amazing, and that done on the spit, it's just crunchy. Yeah. Just
so good. So then our last day in the Valdez Peninsula, we go to Punta Tombo, and this is probably, the picture before was the one that has the largest Magellan penguin colony in the world. When we go, I know that it's when they're just starting to build their nests. So we'll see them all. You can walk in between them. You can get very close to them and just view them. It's amazing.
Excuse me, Colleen. Sorry, ladies. We can hear TV in the background, and it looks as though everybody is muted on my end, but somebody is not muted. Would you please make sure that that's turned off? It's very difficult for people. I'm sorry.
Well, don't go wait for too long.
Hello.
Thank you for that. Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's better. So this is a southern right whale, and we're hoping to see them. And we went, and
it is the time of the year when they're there. Yeah.
We picked October because there are different areas. The weather is the best for all these different areas. So in Buenos Aires, it's maybe about 20 degrees, 22. Mendoza is about the same. The city of San Juan is the hottest, maybe about 27. It's about 26 up in the park, and then it's about 20 in Puerto Madryn. So they're all just almost the perfect climate, temperatures. Yeah. And also this is a really good time to go to Puerto Madryn to view the
whales and the penguins.
Yeah. So we'll have a good chance of seeing all of them. So then the next shot. So then we fly through Buenos Aires from Puerto Madryn, and we get off in Buenos Aires and we have a coach pick us up. And it's about an hour's drive, an hour and a half at the most, through beautiful countryside. And it's into Gaucho land. And here, this is where we're staying. That's the barn. We're not staying there. We're staying in the house, but it is the land of the Gaucho. And this, the ranch, some people come and they do day tours like we're doing at the El Puesto.
Yes, exactly.
Estancia, but they
Yes.
have beautiful rooms. Again, we have asados.
And we're going to have the gauchos show us their sports, which are really singular. They have a sort of what did they call it? Like the gaucho polo, right?
Yeah, I
Did they call it?
yeah.
And then they have one that they call el pato that originally was done with a duck, but today it's not. They
That
have
was
a special.
That's right.
yeah.
That was really interesting.
Yeah. Well, originally it's not really very kind, but originally many years ago they would get a duck and they would throw it in the air and you had to run on your horse and catch the duck and then throw it again. But today that's not allowed anymore, of course. So they have a rubber ring that has an unusual shape, and that's what they use. But the what makes it so special is the horses they have, the what they sit on.
Saddle.
The saddle is the gaucho saddle, which is so different to the English saddle, and their clothing and the surroundings, just being surrounded by all that countryside.
So the next few shots show a bit of what the gauchos do. That's one of the rooms that we'll be staying at. And they have folkloric music. That's the polo game that they play. And they have shows, they have music all the time. You can go horseback riding. There's 300 hectares on the estancia. And yeah, so yeah, and this is what they'll serenade us. So we have 2 nights here, and then the second day, because the first day we will have arrived, the second day people can relax. You can go horseback riding.
And just soak in the feeling of what it is
Yeah.
to be in an Argentine ranch. Because it is a ranch, it's what we would call it if we were
And it is a
here.
working ranch.
And it is a working ranch, which makes it so much more interesting, not just a show ranch. And we can just sit by the pool. We can go horseback riding. They have sulkis, which are these little carts that are drawn by horses, and we can just soak it all in.
And also I think they offer the San Antonio de Areco.
right.
It's
Yes.
a local gaucho town, and
I
they,
forgot
if
about that,
people
yes.
want to go, one of the people from the estancia will
Will
take
take
us
us.
to have a tour of
Yeah.
the gaucho town.
Oh,
That
I'd
could be really
Yeah,
interesting.
I would be happy to take you. It's San Antonio de Areco is the capital, the gaucho capital in Argentina. And there, the best silversmiths and the best leather workers come from San Antonio de Areco, which is a beautiful colonial town.
So there's, I think, 1 more or 2 more slides, but that takes us to the end. This is where we're having lunch, and they have traditional folkloric dancing with music, and yeah, I would go there tomorrow. So yeah, that's a visual tour of what we have planned.
And that's our last day, right? From there, we go to Buenos Aires, and hopefully we'll go back the next year.
That was excellent. Thank you so much. So I hope that gave you, as you said, a really good visual of what there is to see and do. It was interesting. We plan these trips obviously over a year in advance, and that the dates for this trip were booked around the Air Canada flights. And at that time, they had a flight arriving into Buenos Aires on the Sunday morning, which is kind of ideal because it allowed us to do the feria forgive the pronunciation, the ferry that afternoon. So for those of you, some of you that are here tonight are already booked on the tour. We're just waiting to get a couple more people. And I'll speak to everybody individually about the flights, but United Airlines does go in every day through Houston. So you can fly Vancouver to Houston, Houston to Buenos Aires, and arrive there on that first day on the 30th of September, sorry, arriving on the 1st of October. If you want to go in early, you can certainly do that. Colleen and Estella are going in 2 days early, and I know that 2 other ladies are planning to as well. And if you decide to do that, we can book you into the same hotel, of course, and they'll show you around informally. They'll add some activities and walks and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you won't be left high and dry. So
No, there'll be lots to do.
Lots to do.
okay. I'm just getting a thumbs up there. Also, I got kind of excited on the weekend. I was reading the New York Times, and there was a fantastic article on Mendoza and a number of new wineries that have sprung up, all women owned since the
Oh.
pandemic. So that's really interesting. So we'll definitely try and tie that
Yep.
into the program. And that's kind of, one of the things that these tours are about. We make sure that we've covered the highlights, but we've got a budget in there to throw in some fun stuff. And we've got time that we can move things around if we need to. This tour is, we think, a really good combination of formal guides. So in some locales, we need somebody who's very familiar with the area. But on the same hand, you're in Estella's hand in Buenos Aires, it doesn't get any better than that. So we've got a good combination, I think, of private guides, local guides, that's our Estella, great transportation. You've read, I'm sure we're going to be out on boats. We're going to be in these huge 4x4s, which sound more like 8x8s to me, but anyway, big safe vehicles. And it's just all around, I think it's a really good program. So we're super interested to have your feedback, and we always have the opportunity to make changes, providing we can do that on the spot. So that's a little bit about the tour. We talked about the flexibility, lots of food on this tour, but only as much as you need. So it's not one of those things where you're going to sit down to a big formal meal and be there for 2 hours. Fair enough, girls. It's more like plate.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we don't
It is
have any
very informal.
informal. I
Yeah.
would say there's no formal, like formal dinners, or it's all informal, but in a lovely way. And if you enjoy eating meat and I don't know, empanadas and choripans, I mean, I'm looking forward to showing you.
That's great. So I can see quite a few other faces there. Does anybody have any questions? Just put your hand up. And if not, by all means, are you trying to talk to me, Sandy? Do you want to unmute yourself? No? Okay. But you're just happy. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I think that's the main points. Just we really, really hope that we can find a few more people to join this tour and make it happen. We're super excited about it. And as you can tell, we work unusual hours. So I imagine throughout the weekend, there's going to be lots going on as we hear from people and get flights booked and that kind of stuff. So send us your questions. We're happy to answer any that we can. And thank you so much for tuning in.